In this video, we are going to explore the basics of intelligent framing within ZebraCut. Framing is the process of cutting a part which is longer than the size of your machine. In ZebraCut, the size of your machine is represented by this orange rectangle, which is on the machine position layer. And in this case, I'm trying to cut one rectangle, which you can clearly see is larger than the size of my machine. So we're going to have a frame. If we run a preview of this job in ZebraCut, we will see how Zebra will like to frame this. So we can see ZebraCut would like to do two frames, frame 1 and frame 2. And you can see that Zebra has color-coded the parts to be cut on each frame. So for example, on frame 1, we're going to cut this C-shaped part of the rectangle. Then we're going to frame as far as frame 2, and then we will cut this side as well. So our rectangle will be cut in two passes because it's too big to fit within our machine bed. Now it's important to say there is an overlap between these two shapes, these two C shapes that are being cut on different frames, and that overlap is in order to ensure you get a clean cut in case there is any inaccuracy introduced during the framing process. On a conveyorized machine, that error would be very small, but if you're doing manual framing, it is easy to distort or stretch the material, and so we introduce these overlaps to ensure you get a clean cut. Now, let me show you a more complex example. So we will run this framing example here. I've got several parts here, and I'm just going to run again a preview of those. And you'll see we have indeed 7 frames for these various shapes. So again, we have our rectangle getting cut in two halves. Then we have frame 3 in green, and that's going to cut the first part of this ellipse and the first part of this rectangle. Frame 4 will complete those two shapes. Frame 5 will then start this shape here with the internals. Frame 6 will complete that. You can see this rectangle here is spread over 3 different frames, and finally this ellipse is cut in 2 frames. The goal of intelligent framing is to try to avoid cutting parts unnecessarily, so in avoiding spreading parts over different frames unnecessarily. So we're trying to minimize the number of parts which are cut into multiple frames, and to do so with the minimum possible number of frames. Now clearly the framing can become very complex. Let me show you a much larger and longer roll of material to be cut. You can see there are many parts that are well nested here with many internals as well, pen marking and creases and so forth to be done. We'll let this one run, and you'll see it will produce a nice complex framing arrangement for us, which again is trying to minimize the number of parts which are crossing frames. So you see, for example, on frame 1 this part is cut entirely, on frame 2 these parts are cut entirely, and you'll see no frame is actually cut into multiple pieces. So that is intelligent framing. It is a very helpful algorithm, but you will see there is quite a lot of complexity to it as well. In ZebraCut, you have a lot of control over that complexity, and this video series will teach you how to control that complexity. All of the framing options are controlled through the job config system in ZebraCut, so you can go to job config on the menu, and then you will see there are multiple configurations that refer to framing, and this video series will talk you through these various options. So I look forward to catching up with you in future videos and talking you through how we can run intelligent framing. Thank you.